Hi, my name is Alina Govel, and we're here backstage at the Girl Up Leadership Summit, and I'm here with Wade Davis.
Woo! Hi everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm grateful to have a chance to talk to you.
So let's get started. The first question that I have for you is, why do you think gender equality is so often framed as a women's issue rather than a human rights issue or a global issue for people around the world?
I think historically, men specifically don't understand how fighting for gender equality and equity it it benefits men too, right? So because we think of it as something that is only for women, we frame it in a very binary way, which only focuses on women. But I think that that's starting to actually change. I think that more men are starting to educate themselves and learn that gender equality benefits us.
And with your experience, how did you become an advocate to get more men and boys involved with the discussion about gender equality?
Well, first, I was a real idiot on gender equality. That was probably the most honest answer to tell you. And then, secondly, I had a bunch of amazing women who gave me space to screw up a lot, who didn't give up on me when I said a lot of sexist and I still do things, right? I started reading a lot of bell hooks and Gloria Steinem and Audre Lorde, and starting to connect, as I said earlier, how gender equality really benefits me. You know, as a gay man, I typically only fought to end homophobia. But as I read more, I realized that the root of homophobia was sexism. So it made it really easy to make the issue much more personal. So what I try to do with men is try to figure out, like, how do you make a connection with the things that they're passionate about and connect that with how gender equality is also a part of that too.
And how can we do better to make sure men and boys are included in the conversations when there aren't many spaces for them to have open conversations or safe discussions?
So I'm gonna say something dangerous. So I'm not a believer in the whole idea of safe space, and I say that because I want you to imagine that you have a room full of 50 people and you want to have a really intimate conversation. It is not possible to make the room safe for all 50 people, right? Because everyone has different definitions of what safety means, right? But what I think that we can do is we can agree that there are certain terms that we will operate under in this room while we're all here, right? And some of those people may get offended by a certain word that is said, but they know that we're going to dig into those actual terms, and if someone's offended, someone will offer a genuine apology. So I say that because I don't think that we need to promise men that the room will be safe. We need to promise men that the room will be respectful, that they will be heard, that their voices will be valued, that they won't be shamed. And I think that we have to change the frame and say, hey, we're going to create the conditions for you to take the risk, as Bell Hooks says, to bring more of yourself into the room. And then we've got to ask men better questions, right? Not ask, yes or no questions, but ask open-ended, short answer questions to really understand what are men's fears, what are they like, what do they think, what are the things that they're actually caring about. When they hear terms like Me Too, when they hear terms like gender equality or terms like toxic masculinity, what comes up? So we've got to be curious and create the conditions where they would just be honest. Yeah.
Thank you. And moving on to your identity with sports. We're launching Sports for a Purpose at the summit. And in your opinion, how can we work towards gender equality in the sports field?
So my one advice is to not think that the sports world is more sexist or misogynistic than the regular world, because it's not, right? The sports world is just a microcosm of the larger world, right? It's not like young boys go into the locker room and all of a sudden they become something that they weren't in the classroom, right? Like, they were the same in both spaces. So I think, one, to not frame sports as the problem, that if you fix sports that you're going to fix the rest of the thing. That's not true. I would say also partner with coaches, right? They're going to have the loudest microphone. They're the ones that act as father figures to these young men. So figure out, how do you partner with coaches? I would also start to think about, how does gender equality positively impact sports, right? Because the more that you can make those those sticky types of connections, boys are going to be much more curious and involved and engaged because they've never thought about how gender equality in sports matches all together. Also, I would try to find other men who those young boys look to as role models, and get them to come in and speak about it also. And then the last thing I would say is that give them space to be imperfect, right? Young boys aren't going to be thinking about these issues hardly ever. So if they know that they can't be imperfect, then they're going to be silent.
Thank you. It's fostering that learning environment.
Exactly, yeah.
And how have sports shaped your activism personally?
That's another good question. I think what sports taught me is that I know how to give my all into something that I really care about and have a really narrow focus on it, and to spend a lot of time researching, because to be good at sport I had to spend a lot of time on it. So sport taught me how to go narrow and to go deep. The last thing I would say that sport taught me is how one mistake by one person impacts the entire organization or organism, right? So as a football player, if the quarterback is not playing well, no one succeeds, right? So sport really taught me the importance of team and family, and this idea of a collective responsibility. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure that everyone at the summit and watching on the Facebook Live love to hear what your opinions are about men working for gender equality as well as sports for a purpose. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having me also. So, bye everyone. I'll see you all soon.
Bye.